divine and holy light of love, exquisite perfection. Accept in this moment the holiness, the wholeness that you truly are. Accept and embrace the exquisite innocence that is all of humanity, that is all the universe. Allow that only this present moment is in existence. Finding in the heart the willingness to surrender all the beliefs of the past, all the identity of the past, and the willingness to release the future into the hands of God. And in releasing the future, you can be present. Releasing the past into the hands of God, you can be present. And in this moment, looking within and affirming what it is that you truly want, truly, wholly want, that you truly want to remember the wholeness, the oneness, the truth, and that you truly want peace, harmony, ease, and joy. This is your natural state, not the little you that you have believed yourself to be, not a small fragment of disturbance, but the holy holiness of all of humanity is one heart and one breath. And as you affirm what it is that you truly want, it is written in the heart, and everything becomes the servant of that yes. Every moment, every situation, every relationship, wholly devoted to love. In this moment, the willingness to invite humanity into the heart, to no longer hold humanity as different, as fragmented, but the willingness, the invitation to recognize unity, union, wholeness. And breathing fully and deeply into this moment. And noticing if you forgot to breathe today fully and deeply. But choosing in this moment to breathe into every cell, to bring loving peace into every cell, to recognize the harmony and ease of this moment. Breathing, allowing, inviting. And as you breathe, breathing in through the nose, breathing in the yes, and through the mouth, releasing all concepts of this day, all perceptions, all thinking of it should be this way or this should be that way, this means this and this means that. Surrendering all the meaning of this day, this week, this lifetime into love. And breathing deeply and fully, breathing into the throat, inviting the throat to open. And breathing into the spine, inviting the spine to move easily and effortlessly, surrendered into love. Breathing. Breathing into the shoulders, arms, and hands, and letting all holding go. Just noticing if there's anything held as tension, resistance of any kind. Just surrendering it all into love. And breathing. Breathing into the heart. Inviting the heart to come forward, open and available, undefended. The yes to love, the yes to peace, the yes to harmony. And breathing and noticing that you are present here in this awareness, wanting to be present, aligning in presence. Breathing into the belly, surrendering all the organs into the hands of God. Not wanting to keep anything separate as mine, as different. Willing to surrender it all into love. Breathing into the hips and thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Everything opening to love. Everything surrendered to love. Allowing, inviting. And breathing deeply and fully. Available in this moment. And as you continue to breathe consciously, affirming that here, in the infinite circle of love, we are one. One heart and one breath in devotion, in the yes to union. There is only one presence here, is the life force of God, and within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. This sanctuary is filled with love. This universe is all of love. Nothing else exists. Breathing, allowing, finding the yes. Allow this prayer to permeate into your heart, releasing all distractions of any kind, and just bathing, sinking into the call to love. Receive this love and take it in your heart. Receive this love and give it freely. Oh, take this love and wear it in your heart. Receive my love and give it freely. Oh, take my love and give it to your heart. Receive this love and give it freely. I am the love you came in here to find. I am the love of a divine being. I am your love you came in here to find. You are a divine being. Oh, take my love and wear it in your heart. Oh, take our love and give it freely. Take this love, give it to your heart. Oh, take our love and give it freely. Take me home, receive me in your heart. Oh, take me home, I'm here to love you. Take me home, take me into your heart. Oh, take our love and give it freely. Take my love and feel it in your heart. Oh, take this love and give it freely. Oh, take this love and sing it through your heart. Oh, take my love and give it freely. To take this love, the love that is within, always within, to take that love and give it freely, without conditions, without hesitation, without resistance of any kind. When there is a resistance to giving love, to offering love, it is because there is a belief that says there is not enough, and I have to protect and I have to save. But in giving love freely, without conditions, love expands into its true nature, encompassing the entire universe. Nothing to hold back, nothing to fear. Take this love and give it freely. Sing it through your heart. With every word, with everything you hear, with every gesture, with every offering love, nothing else. A call to love. I'm going to focus all my attention where it is most helpful, into the divine. The divine that reveals itself through the sun and the moon and the stars and the forest, the earth and the sea. The divine. I am here to remember love. I am here to affirm love. It is all that I came here for, was to remember, to focus, to accept, to embrace love. Divine love is so pure that not many can speak of it, and yet everyone is it. This is a marvelous light that shines in the shady forest, in every breath, in every touch of wind, in every radiance of the sun, in all light. It's all love. To recognize it, to embrace it, that it is you. And to no longer want to separate anything from love. Vou ligar o meu pensamento só onde eu devo ligar. No sol, na lua, nas estrelas, na floresta, na terra, no mar. Esta estrada que estou andando, eu é mesmo mestre andou. É a estrada de Jesus Cristo, onde nos afirmamos o amor. O amor eterno tá puro, que nem todos podem falar. É quem leva-nos nas alturas para nos purificar. O amor eterno de Deus vive nas matas sombrias e uma luz maravilhosa que ilumina todo dia. The divine love is a marvelous light that is shining, always shining, and it's just wanting to see that shining light in everything and in everyone. The willingness to see through the heart, through the yes of love, and no longer want to believe in separation, no longer want to believe in any lack, in any difficulties, in any confusion, in any suspicions, in any irritations, in any upset. To focus all attention on the divine, the light that is within, but is also reflected without, so that you can see what's within. one. One light, one love. As our beloved Hafiz offers the healing, the shield that you hold. There is a shield you may still hold because of so many battles. I guess another conflict could begin any moment. So maybe lugging it about could be of some use, or is it just an undermining habit? Does not it get heavy, so much so that you sometimes carry it on your head at noon? And then do wonder, with your insecurity so intact, about casting darkness as fears can shadows? Even if the sun is out, even the sun is out, if God is really all around in the middle of a beautiful day or night. Yes, how amazing that a small umbrella or an illusion held over your head or clung to can hide the stupendous fact of infinite light. This is the divine call to recognize the shield that you keep wanting to use in your everyday life. Does it get heavy? Absolutely. Is it helpful? Absolutely not. Does it serve a purpose? Only in the mind. In the insanity that says, I am separate, I am without, and I know who I am, what everything means, and I believe my evidence, I carry a shield, just in case. But as Hafiz is so beautifully offering, that shield is not only heavy, it blocks the light. It blocks what your soul is yearning for. So the complaining is, I don't feel the light. I don't experience the light. I don't know the light. But all the while there's a shield that's being held up saying, no, this is what I know, and I'm not going to let it go until I have more proof. But the shield is blocking everything to begin with. And so while the shield is being held and used, you can't be aware of the light. The shield is a choice. The shield is of your making. The shield doesn't come from anything other than the identity that says, I am without, and I don't have enough, and I have to protect, defend, and I believe my past. And I will continue to hold this shield, or you can take that leap of faith and the sun is out, and the willingness to recognize the bright light of love. But to recognize that bright light of love You have to question what you know. You have to question what you think you know. You have to question the validity of your insanity. Now it sounds like using the word insanity would seem to be an indictment of some kind. But insanity is just the lack of sanity, the lack of love. It is insane to think that you are separate from God. It is insane to think that you are temporary, a body. It's insane because it's not true. It's insane because it has no validity, and when you recognize it has no validity, it disappears. Illusions disappear. They don't become something else. They just disappear because illusions aren't true. But if you believe that they are, then you make your world. So here is this beloved Hafiz, and I've said this often, that here is this beloved who lived in the 1300s, was incarnated in the 1300s, and possibly in other lifetimes also. But that these offerings of love were manifested in the 1300s. And the same shield is still being used. It was recognized in the 1300s. It was recognized in the year 1. It was recognized all through time by every beloved who came back into sanity. And one of the first steps of healing, of remembering, is to recognize the shield that is being used. Because the ego would love to keep the illusion going that your pain and suffering is caused from something outside, and that the shield is valid. You have plenty of evidence. You have plenty of evidence of the validity because it's your made-up evidence. You can make all the evidence you want. I was listening to something the other day that was talking about hallucinations and seeing things that weren't there, having hallucinations. And in the belief of upset, in the belief of anything but peace and harmony, it's all hallucinations. It has no more validity than having taken a drug or having a high fever and having hallucinations. And the more that you can recognize that these are hallucinations, that they're images that you've made, that they are concepts that you've made up, the easier the healing. What makes the healing seem difficult, and healing is just remembering, but what seems to make that healing difficult is the validity that is given to the illusion. it's given validity by what made up the illusion to begin with. Nothing else is giving it validity. So your knowing is two elements. It's in a battle with itself. It's seeing an illusion and then validating that it's true. It's giving it validity through knowing. And you gather your evidence out of the past. Say, yes, this is right. I see pain and suffering. I see suspicion, something to be suspicious of. I see someone looking at me in a particular way, and I interpret that what that means, and then that's my valid decision. And then I react to that valid decision. And all the pain and suffering is caused from that valid decision. It's not really valid, but it's valid to the ego identity that says, yes, it's true. One of the favorite validations of the ego is to use the body as the validity. The emotional body, the physical body, pain body. It's listened to as if it has divine intelligence. You have a reaction to something, you see something, you believe something, the body communicates that belief, and you react to that communication as if it was just validated, like it was true. But it was all the ego playing all the different parts. How can you step out of that agreement? To really want to put down the shield and to no longer listen to that untruth that the body is communicating. It takes a leap of faith. It takes a trust that is possibly unknown to you until that moment. It isn't like you can go into trust that you've known already and figure it out with an old trust. It's the trust of that moment. Trusting the divine teachings, trusting every master who has offered love through teachings, through direction. Trusting that there is only love. Trusting that there is no death. Trusting that there is an ease and a grace and a wholeness and a holiness of life that you don't know. If you keep going around in the same circle, coming up with the same strategies over and over and over again, playing the same game over and over and over again, eventually you're going to be so tired that you'll step into trust. because you won't have the fight left for another round. This is raising the white flag. It's not the surrender of losing, like the world has made the white flag to be, that the loser raises the white flag. No, in this, the grace of God, the light, and the yes raises the white flag and says, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what anything is for. Show me the way. Does the ego then still play its games? Yes, it'll try. Say, what about this? And don't you like this? And look at this distraction. And look at this. Look at what you know here. Look what you know there. Look at this. But the more and more and more that you affirm and align that you want to remember love, you will be shown. But you have to be willing to walk through it. And what is it? It is whatever circumstance, whatever's coming up in the moment of resistance and of seeming conflict, the willingness to no longer use the shield, to drop the shield, and to recognize, I don't know how to walk, but please show me. I don't know the truth here, but I'm willing. I'm willing. Is to drop the shield. When a beloved who walked the earth in the 1300s is asking you to drop the shield and puts it in such a way, does it not get heavy, so much so that you sometimes carry it on your head? It's to bring out the absurdity of it, to shake the trance and say, come on, this is absurd. You're walking around with a shield, you're walking around with a defense system, and then you're complaining because you can't recognize the light and you can't find peace. You can't find peace holding on to a shield in case the enemy shows up, in case you need to defend yourself, because you wouldn't be holding that shield unless you really believed that you were damn right, that every day is gonna, somebody for some reason is going to attack and you need a shield. Healing is to bring light to the absurdity of the defense system, to really see it in its absurdity, this is the fool for love. It's to recognize, I'm believing in something that has no validity, but no helpfulness. Will the ego try to convince you that carrying around a heavy shield makes sense? Absolutely. The ego will make sense out of this. It'll show you all different things that you think you need protection for. But what you really are believing that you need protection for is your knowing. You don't want to let go of your knowing. I know this, I know how things should be, I know how things work, I know what I want to say, I know what I want to do, I know what I want to be, I know how things should be, I know the rules of the world, I know it all. But I don't see it as being a know-it-all. I see it as, this is the righteous protection. This is how life is. But there's no healing there. There's no peace there. There's no ease. There's no flow. There's no recognition of abundance. The abundance of love. It's all disasterizing. Now, the ego doesn't show disasterizing, obviously. I mean, sometimes it does. Sometimes it'll become a disaster, and it'll disasterize. But most of the time, it's just, I'm in control. I've got control over this, or I want control over this, and I'm afraid I don't have control over this, so I better get busy and get more control over this. But it doesn't work. There's a teaching that says, it takes great learning to understand, to recognize that all things, events, and encounters and circumstances are helpful to remember love. All circumstances, all events, everything is helpful to remember love. But how can that be when you are believing that all circumstances, all events, all things, all encounters are what you know about them? They aren't helpful unless they're offered into the hands of love, into the hands of God, to be used for love. There's a blessed teaching that says, the holiest spot on earth is where an ancient hatred has become a holy love. That's the moment. That's the choice. That is how every situation, every event, every circumstance, every encounter can be truly helpful, is when it is surrendered to love. When you are no longer willing to hate. A hatred is a word that has a starkness to it. Hatred, well, the ego likes other words. The ego likes words like irritation, upset, disturbance, doubt. They sound easier. They sound more acceptable. And you have legitimate reasons to be irritated, upset, disturbed. You have your evidence. But if you are willing to recognize that in every upset, every disturbance, every confusion, everything, it's all hatred. Because there aren't degrees. When you're not in love, you're in hatred. It's not an indictment. It's a recognition. Oh, is that what I want? It's like Hafiz saying, here's the shield that you're carrying around. See it for what it is and don't label it something else. Don't label it a defense system. Don't label it a legitimate upset. Don't label it an irritation or a righteous fear. That's one of the best, a righteous fear. A righteous fear is, oh yes, this is because I was mistreated before, and so now I have the right to be fearful. Because I believe that I was changed, I was damaged, I was altered from the wholeness. And I have the right to be fearful. It's legitimate. It's a made-up insanity. It's all a made-up insanity. If love is promising you, right here, right now, promising you that you are innocent, whole, and complete, what is it that has changed you from that wholeness? What has happened? Is God lying that you are whole and complete? Is it so tempting to want to be right about what you think you know, about what you believe you have been or are, that you would accept that you were altered, changed, diminished in any way? Is it beyond the understanding of the self-concept of a separate self? Is it beyond that understanding to accept that you could not be changed, that you could not be diminished? You can't have both. You cannot accept that you are whole and complete in the innocence of God and believe that you have the right to fear and the right to hatred because of the past. You can't serve two masters. One of the things that the ego does in the relationship to the past is, in a very upside down way, it holds the belief of the past and says, I would be disloyal to everyone if I didn't agree that I was damaged. This is completely upside down. And yet there's an agreement with everybody that we all have to agree we're damaged. We don't have to agree we're damaged. And when a beloved steps out of that agreement and says, no, I am going to accept the truth of God. I am going to accept the divine teachings of every master that promise that there is only innocence, that there is only love, that there is only peace, that there is only oneness, the light, the eternal light. I am accepting this, and I refuse to give my allegiance to an erroneous identity. It's so upside down that the ego convinces that it's a disloyalty. So what is this disloyalty? This disloyalty says, well, I can't be whole and complete while everybody else is still suffering. But that's the lie. Because to recognize the wholeness and completeness is to recognize it for everyone and everything. Because there isn't an I that is whole and complete as a separate identity. It's all one. When you are remembering wholeness and completeness, you are remembering it for all of the universe. So then where is the guilt or the resistance to wanting to stay with all the others who you perceive to be damaged? You have to let go of the perception of damage in anyone, anything, everything. So that means no one has done anything to you. Oh no. What will you be if you're not the victim of someone else's attack? The light of God. And when you accept that you are the light of God, you are accepting that no beloved has done anything. So they are also the light of God. They are also as the oneness coming home, remembering. You cannot love anyone and hold them as separate. You cannot love anything and hold it as separate or damaged or temporary. There's a beautiful teaching that says, you believe that there's one kind of love for this and another kind of love for that, all different kinds of love. There are no different kinds of love. There are no different degrees of love. There are no different circumstances of love. There are no different amounts of love. Love is whole and complete, all-encompassing. God, love, same. So we have to accept it for everyone and for everything, for every circumstance, for every moment. It takes great learning to recognize that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. What if you took away your knowing of every circumstance, of every event, and truly let it be helpful so that it can help you remember? Then it becomes holy. It becomes in service of love. Every moment, every situation, always of love. There's another teaching that says, every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form that it takes. Every loving thought is true. No other thoughts are true. Nothing that's coming from the mind is true other than love. The recognition of God in everyone and in everything. The willingness to accept that everything is love. Everything. Everything in every moment. And there's nothing else to embrace. Not in any moment, not in any circumstance. It's embracing that only a loving thought, only a loving intention is useful. Everything else has no use. It has no purpose other than to have you believe that there is an illusion of danger, of fear, of problems. But there is nothing that is useful except love. And the way home to love is to question the intention behind everything. There is nothing evil or wrong or bad about any form. Some beloveds will ask, well, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? There is no good thing or bad thing. It's the intention of what it is being used for. If you are offering a glass of water to another beloved, and your intention is, oh, they're going to think I'm really great because I'm offering them a glass of water, there is no love there. And that glass of water then is not able to be a circumstance of help. If that glass of water is being offered without expectations, but is really being offered, then love is being transmitted through the form. That form then becomes the vehicle of love, and it is received as love. And maybe the beloved who is receiving it isn't available consciously to receive it as love, but their soul is still receiving it as love. It will register within them that love was offered. They may not recognize it in the moment because they're not ready to recognize love in the moment. No offering of love is ever unreceived. It may not be consciously received, but it is received. But it has to be without conditions. Love cannot be offered if there are conditions, if there is a giving to get attached to it in any way. That's where the healing is, and that's where every beloved in every circumstance is the call to a deeper healing within you. It's a deeper healing within you because you have the opportunity to question what is the intention of this offering, of this thought, of this moment. What is the purpose? Am I offering love without conditions? Am I opening my heart? Am I offering love through the heart? Or am I trying to get something? This takes a deep wanting to really want to see what's running. But without that wanting, the game just continues. You have to want and recognize that you don't want the shield anymore of protection. And the protection that Hafiz was talking about in the poem, the protection, the shield, is your knowing. The protection is, I have a strategy, but I'm not going to pay any attention to it because it's my habit. This is what I always do. This is how I always live. I'm not going to stop and question. I want to stay in a trance, and I want to just do what I do and live how I live in my protective shield. And then there's no healing. The healing is always available. Love is always available. Remembering is always available. Nothing is being kept from you. Grace is always available. Revelation is always available. Revelation is the awareness of God in the moment. It's always available. But because humanity has free will, it cannot be imposed on you. It cannot be that somebody will twist your arm and force you to question what's running. Only you can have that willingness, that yes, that will bring you to question the validity of your intentions. It is essential to recognize that it is your intentions that cause you pain. It isn't what's happening on the outside. It is the intention and the perceptions of the belief of separation, the belief that you are without, the belief that you have to protect yourself in some way, that you have to defend something, and that you are damaged and you have to defend a facade that says, no, I'm not damaged, when I'm still believing within that I am. When I was walking in the seeming journey of remembering, at a certain point, I saw the costume of the made-up identity. And I continued to be shown the costume as it was stripped away. The facade, the costume, it was like all these threads that made up the costume. One by one, these threads were being pulled away, being pulled out, being dropped. And then the light was shining through these thin garments of facade. And that's the truth of everyone. There's a facade that everyone is wearing. There's an identity that everyone is wearing that has no truth, that's been made up to try to protect a belief that says, I am damaged, I am not whole, I am without love, I have left God, I am not worthy of love. And let's rip the costume off and see that there is nothing to hide from. There is nothing to be afraid of what is underneath the costume. There's nothing to protect. You're defending an illusion of a made-up identity. There's nothing to lose. I have given this mantra to many beloveds. I have nothing to lose. That in every situation, in every circumstance, to remember that you have nothing to lose by expressing love and by being undefended. Undefended. Everything that the ego believes needs to be defended is erroneous. But it's all centered in one identity. It's the identity of being a body. The belief that you are a body is all that the defense is built for. If you did not believe you were a body, you would not believe you were temporary. It's all the body that is holding you in the belief that you are temporary. If you are eternal and you are the Spirit of God, the light of God, eternally, and that you were never anything else, what would there be to defend? What would there possibly, how could you possibly defend anything? What would be it's all to protect the fear that you're going to be hurt, that you're going to have something done to you. But everything that you think could be done to you has to be done to the material level. It can't be done to the spirit. And it's not to confuse the spirit with the emotions. Your emotional body is part of the body system. It is not the spirit of love. It is not the truth of who you are. Many times, many of you have heard me say in prayer, to surrender the emotional body. To surrender the emotional body and to surrender the mind's hold on the emotional body. That the emotional body has been run by the mind, the belief of separation, and the emotional body has been the expression, the communication that says, I am without, I need caution, I am suspicious. It's all fear running through the emotional body. It's run by the beliefs of separation. But the emotional body can be surrendered, the beliefs can be surrendered, and the emotional body is then free because it basically disappears. You're not a slave of the emotional body. It can express joy. It can express compassion. It can express tranquility and harmony. Eventually, even that will fall away in the oneness of eternal life, when the body falls away. Just like the physical body can be used to express love. It can be used to express, temporarily, love through the form. But it's not attachment to the form in any way. When the form falls away, the divine is still completely present. And just allowing the form to shift and change and not be attached to it. And yet bringing love to every moment. But not being the slave of the body. Not being in the belief that the body has validity as the dictator of pain and suffering. No longer being willing to be run by the mind that says, I am this temporary, separate identity. The willingness to surrender the shield, drop the shield. No longer willing to be defended, and no longer willing to be defended, and recognizing that the shield, one of the shields that you've made, is the shield of the emotional body and the shield of the physical body. Using it as a defense system to say, I can be hurt, I can be attacked, and that there's a separate me that is identified as this body. Beloved said today, worried about what others were thinking about them. And I remember one of my teachers, when I was in that same belief, and I was in a really deep misery of worried about what others were thinking about me. And this teacher said to me, "Do you really think that nobody else has anything to think about except you? This is just your narcissism that is dancing around, believing everything's about you." This is the distortion of the mind. The distortion of the mind that focuses on the identity as a separate self, as a separate person, instead of opening the heart, the willingness to be undefended and to say yes to oneness. You can say yes to oneness all day long and then keep protecting your body, and there's not going to be any healing. The words themselves are not magic. It is bringing your full intention, your full participation into that yes, into I'm willing to trust in this moment to be undefended and step through the fire. Step through the heat of the screaming no of the ego that says, no, don't go there. No, yes, I am. I'm going to love. I am not going to be defended. I refuse to believe that there's anything happening that has anything to do with pain and suffering. I am saying yes to love. And in that yes, there is transformation. But the transformation can only come by your participation. And your schoolroom is every circumstance, every situation, every relationship, every moment of time. That's your schoolroom. There's a beloved who has asked a question. And there's two questions. The first one is, if someone hates me or tells me they hate me, is it true that it has nothing to do with me whatsoever? Yes. Yes. It has to do with there is a beloved in pain. And in that, there is the recognition that it is a cry for help, that it is a cry for healing, for love. If you take it personally, if someone says, I hate you, and you have a reaction, then that reaction is your indicator that you believe it's true, that there is something to hate, that you are worthy of hate, that you are hate-filled, and that I hate you is touching the fear within you that you believe that you are to be hated, that you are filled with self-loathing. If you're not filled with self-loathing, someone could say, I hate you, and you are going to recognize it as, oh, this beloved is in pain. This beloved is calling for help to be loved. How can I serve this beloved in this moment? By seeing the truth of this beloved in their wholeness. But if you have reaction, if it disturbs you, then the healing is still within, of recognizing that you would not be upset by that other than you believe it's true. That there is a self-hatred within, a self-loathing within that is being triggered by this beloved's fear and pain. But this is the opportunity of healing no matter what. It isn't personal unless you believe it's personal. And then you're going to be in suffering with them. You're going to join with them in the illusion, in the identity of separation. And then you are both in suffering. You're both in battle. You've both forgotten the truth of oneness. Is this all illusion? Yes. But for the beloved who is saying, I hate you, it's true for them in that moment. And what they are trying to do in that expression is to get rid of their own belief of self-hatred. This is the hot potato syndrome. This is projection. But if you join with them, then you're in the same projection with them. You're projecting it back, and you've made an agreement to suffer together. But it's always the call for love. So in that way, as this beloved is asking, is it true that it has nothing to do with me whatsoever? Yes. There is nothing to hate. Only love is real. Hatred is made up. It's a belief of a delusional state of suffering and self-loathing. And all of that self-loathing comes from the belief that you separated from God and that you deserve to be punished. But you didn't separate from God. You believe you did, but that doesn't make it true. You're still whole and complete and the truth of God. And that willingness to accept that. Not just as an identity of separation, but in the release of that identity of separation and accepting it for all of humanity. No one has done anything. No one has done anything to you. No one has done anything to anyone. That is the big leap of faith. The acceptance of wholeness, the acceptance of innocence, the acceptance of holiness. Nothing has changed that. This beloved asks, I am realizing a lot of my seeming security, seeming is in quotes, comes from money. I guess that means money is my God. That sounds and feels really terrible. Would you speak to this? To realize that the belief of security comes from money is a big leap into awareness, to recognize it. And it is true that if you believe that your security comes from money, you have made money your God. You have given money an identity of magic and an identity that it's other than a bunch of pieces of paper or gold coins or whatever it happens to be, but to recognize that the abundance of life, the flow of life, is all in the oneness with God. It doesn't mean that there's something horrible about money. Money doesn't have meaning other than the meaning that you're giving it. If you give it the meaning that it proves your worth, then you will always feel inadequate because you're trying to get your worth from something that is illusionary, is temporary. Can it be used again? It can be used for love. It can be used to express love. But it's never in trying to get something. When there is the belief that you are without. So if you look at the belief of humanity is at its core the belief of scarcity, that there is not enough. There is nothing in this world that doesn't express that belief that there is not enough. And it all comes to that there is not enough love, that you're not enough. And then it gets projected out into the world of money and ownership and things, thinking that if you have enough things or identity of things that you will find your worth. Can never happen. Does humanity in general believe that money is their God? Yes. Yes. That you worship the belief that there is more and less, that you believe that there is not enough, that you believe that it has worth for you and about you, and that you believe that those who don't have are worthless, and that they somehow have a missing ingredient. It's all the same belief. It's the belief in scarcity played out throughout the whole universe, the whole world, saying there's not enough. But that worth is here. That wholeness is here. And the recognition of coming home and finding worth from within is the journey of remembering. You can exchange money for anything. You could substitute, this beloved is talking about money in a more concrete way, but you could exchange it for food. You could exchange it for anything. You could exchange it for a relationship. If you believe that a relationship is going to give you what you're missing, it's the same belief as the belief that money will give you something that you believe is missing within. It will make you safe. That a relationship will make you safe. That a prestigious job will make you safe. That some kind of identity is going to make you safe. Not possible. In my defenselessness, that's where the safety is. It's in being undefended, untethered by the addictions of the belief of anything outside. And it all comes back to the same thing. It's not that money becomes the God in a very precise way. It's the belief that the body, again, is God. It's the belief that you are the body. It's what you're worshiping, because money has to do with the body. Everything that money has to do with is about the body. Is money part of the flow of this creation within a body? Yes. While we are in bodies, while we are still walking in bodies, even in an awakened state, there's still the movement of the body. But there's not an attachment to it. If the body leaves today, the body leaves today. If the body doesn't walk anymore, the body doesn't walk anymore. It's not a loss. It's not a sense of betrayal. It's not a sense of being without. It's because it's not an attachment anymore. It's not an identification anymore. And yet, it's enjoying everything that is here, but in divine equality, not coming from the belief of lack and trying to get something. It's no different than all the addictions in the world. The relationship to money is just another addiction. If there is fear around it of not having enough, of guilt of having too much, of the belief that some have and some don't, and you see beloveds through the lens of their physical wealth, and you you determine that one has worth through their physical wealth and one does not have worth through because of their lack of physical wealth. It's not any different than if you see someone who is in a body that doesn't function to the standards that are expected by humanity. If someone's legs are missing, do you see them as less? Do you look at them with pity? Do you look at them as having or being without? Do you see someone who has an IQ that is not what humanity has determined to be an average IQ, and you see them as having a less of an IQ, and then someone that has more of an IQ as being better? The divine is whole and complete, and all of that is facade. And the money is the same thing. It's the belief that you are without. It comes from the belief of scarcity, the fear of it, the fear of not having enough, the fear of having too much and then having guilt because others don't have enough. It's all the belief that there is inequality, that there is duality, more and less. When you believe in duality, more and less, there's always going to be suffering. But that belief is actually being manifested into the world. It isn't the other way around. It isn't that you believe what the world proves to you. It's that your beliefs are what you see in the world, and you see poverty, and you see loss, and you see hardship, and you see wealth, and you see poverty. It's all coming from the belief of separation. In the teaching that I spoke of originally tonight, when love is brought to an ancient hatred, this is the holy place on earth. When it has been transformed into love, that is what the healing really is the refusal to see the separation, to see what you think you know, and to truly want to see the divine, the holiness of everything and everyone. And when you want to not just see it, but to accept it and to embrace it, there is healing. Because you are no longer wanting to be right. You are no longer wanting to believe your concepts and your identity and your belief of limitation. And that's the beauty of healing. And the healing manifests. Absolutely. This beloved used the word security. Where does your security come from? Where have you offered your security? What have you said, this is where my security comes from? My security comes from the awareness of wholeness. The rest is a battle you will never win. When you give your security, you place your security in the belief of money, or the belief of attainment, or the belief of a good job, or the belief of a successful life, or a successful relationship, or whatever it is. When you place your security in that, safety, security, you're guaranteed that it's not going to be there for very long, because the illusion changes all the time. So the call is to come into the really divine security, which is, oh, there is no death. Oh, there is only love. Oh, there's only one. And embracing that divine security, embracing that undefended open heart, and recognizing that that is where safety is. Because it's not really safety in the sense that there isn't an opposite. It's the lack of insecurity. It's the lack of defense. It's love. It's whole. And it's unencumbered. There's nothing to hold back. There's nothing to be cautious about. There's nothing to defend for anything. That is the call to return to love. In this moment, find in your heart the willingness to accept an undefended heart. Find in your willingness to accept that you are whole and complete. Not your understanding of this, not your figuring this out. Just the willingness to open your heart and accept that you are safe, that you are held, that you are loved, that you are love itself, that there is no danger, there is no problem, there is no conflict, there is no difficulty. And the willingness to no longer allow those beliefs to run your life. That you're willing to accept wholeness, happiness, harmony, joy, peace. It is your willingness that transforms. It is the grace of love that is the healing energy that is invited in. But it is your willingness that invites. It is your willingness that chooses between love and fear in every moment. The willingness to question, am I believing in fear right now? Am I believing in difficulty, pain, suffering? Or am I choosing peace and harmony, ease, love itself? To come home is to drop the beliefs of pain and suffering and difficulty. The beloved who came as my teacher in the seeming journey would say to me, and I would hear him saying all the time, drop it. Just drop it. And that that call to love was a healing balm, and at the same time it was like a cutting away, like from a surgical knife. Drop it. And that's all that it is. Drop what you think you know. Don't dance with it anymore. And when the yes but wants to grab, hear it again. Drop it. Refuse to believe the lie of pain and suffering and battle, confusion, defense, caution, all the different ways that fear plays its game. Just drop it and return to love. Return to the truth of who you are, what's always been, what you will always be. So as we close, affirm your yes and take the opportunity that as we complete this divine offering within this form, that you have the opportunity to open your heart, step out of the mind, and commune with each beloved just from the heart. Not having to prove anything, not having to fix anything, not having to say anything in particular, just staying in that quiet heart space so that you can hold the healing that has permeated into your heart, and hold it and offer it and continue to offer love as you walk in the world with the intention of offering love, peace and harmony. And the more that you offer love and peace and harmony, the more healing is recognized within. The more the facade falls away, breaks away. The yes to love.